All right, everybody. Welcome to Unscripted from my studios here at the Junction in Old Hilliard, and another new guest today. Actually, I want to start off here. First of all, Corby, thank you for my intro on the audio, as always. Let me start here. From her website, everyone has an inner superhero, patiently reminding us who we are, what we have already overcome, and whispering to us who we want to be. Why don't my guest, would you introduce yourself to my audience, and we will go from there?
Hi, I'm Coach Jennifer, and I have devoted my life to be of service to others. And what that encompasses is starting my own LLC called Kindness Matters, doing business as Coach Jennifer for you. And the beginning was during COVID. When COVID first started, I kind of embraced it as a gift of time to go inward a little bit and do some reflecting and refresh my perspective and what were the parts and pieces of me that I wanted to work on. And some of the biggest goals were very, very small steps incrementally that I just feel like I'm the best version of myself, and I'm definitely a helper. So I just want to help other people with their goals. And that's not me telling you what to do. That's being more of a partnership. It's not like coaching is a little bit special. It's not like therapy where you're talking about medication or you're healing from the past. It's not consulting where I'm going to tell you what to do. It's a very much a partnership, client-based, in what you want to work on. And then we come and strategize and navigate road bumps, and I can hold you accountable, maybe push you a little bit. But you have everything you need inside. I'm just a facilitator.
And I love that. I love what you said about a superhero, because we all do. We all have, I think, at the end of the day, we all have spiritual gifts that we've been given that we should maximize while we're here. And I like this
Aaron,
superhero because we live in a superhero age, right? I mean, we watch all the movies, and we can all identify with superheroes, but I don't know if we identify them within ourselves. And so I love that. I love that tie-in that you had.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What made you smile today?
What made me? Oh gosh, a lot. I've had a wonderful day because I myself, I think you said it pre-game before we clicked record. I've kind of found that sweet spot. I think I get to do what I do every day, and that makes me smile. Versus literally, I think it was a year ago, almost to the day, maybe to the day that I resigned from a position where I was not smiling at all. And I'll just leave it at that. And now I get to do what I do every day, and I'm blessed by that. So that makes me smile. Just one of the few things, but
perfect sense. And I think you're making the world a little kinder, gentler place, one podcast at a time. You're very non-judgmental, and you resonate with people, and it's a very safe space for people to talk.
Oh gosh, well, I appreciate it. This isn't about me; it's about you. So let's talk about you. So did you leave? Did you leave corporate America during the pandemic? And so you said you launched this during the pandemic, or decided during the pandemic. So did you leave corporate America?
No, I still have the day job and the benefits, and I'm growing my business on the side. And I didn't know anything about a website, but I hired a freelancer and built a website. And your trajectory has been very quick, and the learning curve is amazing. You have to find out Acuity Scheduler and blogging and doing all of those things. But my passion is really the people and getting invested in what their goals are, which are very, very diverse. And I just really absolutely love it. And part of working on myself, I also took a 9-month, very intensive coaching. I wasn't one that wanted to go for a weekend and get a coaching paper. It was 9 months of intensive mentoring, coaching, online classes, homework.
Wow.
It really gave me a strong foundation. And I kind of realized while I was going through that, what's my foundation as a person? With my spiritual, my physical, my job, and taking a look at where the cracks are and realizing you really have to put your oxygen mask on first
Right.
And then
right.
you have more to give, and you can give more intentionally too when your cup's full.
Wow. I love what you just said about putting your oxygen mask on first. For anyone that's flown, they say put your mask on first and then help someone beside you. That is really, really good. Actually, I'm a music fan, and there's a song by Ed Sheeran that talks about how I gave everyone all of my oxygen. And it's actually, I don't remember the name of the song off the top of my head, but he says, basically what he's saying in that song is just that. And that before I can save anyone else, I have to save myself. To your point.
I love Ed Sheeran. That's very true.
Yes.
He's a good guy.
I think the song is called Save Myself. It's one of my favorites by him. But to that point, I think, we give all of our oxygen to everyone else because that's just, we pour into everyone else, and then we realize that we're,
especially
as you
helpers,
said, our cup is empty. Yep.
Caregivers, people that are caring for other, a lot of times that's, moms. And you just spread yourself so thin, then you have nothing left. But if you start with your cup a little bit fuller and just some basic self-care, very basic self-care. Some people come to me and I'm like, how much do you sleep? Are you drinking water? Just very basic things like that. I had a stay-at-home mom during the pandemic that was having trouble focusing, but she was still in her pajamas at noon with the kids online and just exhausted. And she said her brain was a little foggy. And I said, well, your brain is about 80% water. What does your water intake look like? And she said 0.
Right.
So we just kind of talked back and forth and thought, well, what do you do that's non-negotiable during the day? And we'll just attach a new little habit to it. It's called chaining it. And we talked about several things. And she said, I brush my teeth, non-negotiable, twice a day. So while we were on the Zoom call, she went down to the kitchen. She got a cup in the bathroom. There's 12, 16 ounces of water. She went from 0 to that. And that was her goal for the first week. So I meet you where you are. I've had clients that will only talk on the phone. Some people want to Zoom. Some are not even in Ohio. I've had clients in Colorado, Florida, and some that want to meet at Panera. So it just depends where your comfort zone is. But it's a safe space to talk and figure out where are you? And where do you want to go? And how are we going to get there? And you break it down into teeny steps so you can't help but be successful. And then you just build on that.
Yeah. Well, and it's so funny that we're talking at the time of the year we are. It's the new year. And even though it's just another date on the calendar, the reality is so many of us make decisions that we're going to start this new year. It's a fresh page for people, which we can start a fresh page tomorrow. The calendar doesn't determine that. But for many, we start with that. So have you seen a rise in the amount of people wanting to work with you for the start of a new year, or has it been business as usual?
A lot of people make the majority of New Year's resolutions are around health, wellness, losing weight, exercise. Right. And the average American quits on day 8, 1 week of this whatever.
Right.
And the second big chunk of people, per my highly technical research on Google, is day 32. So they've gone for a month in and they're done. But you can't start the new year saying, I'm going to lose 80 pounds and run a marathon. Are those doable goals? Right. Yes, but not in January.
Right.
I did have a client that wanted to lose 80 pounds. Actually, this was last year. And I said, are you want to go on a diet or is your goal to eat more healthfully, mindfully? And she wanted to change her habits. And I asked her, when's your birthday? And it was October. And I said, why don't you lose the weight for your birthday? What's the rush? Why does it have to be 3 months or this month? Why don't we just make the dream a gift to yourself? Yeah. And, So, and it takes a while to change habits. I think when you make a New Year's resolution, even if it's 10 or 15 pounds, and you go to the gym, you just overcook yourself, and you have to start smaller. That's why New Year's resolutions never really stick. Right. They're usually a little grandiose.
Yeah, exactly. Last year, mine was to get the band New Edition together for a reunion. And that was pretty grandiose. It didn't happen. It didn't happen.
When did it happen?
It did not happen. It's going to happen one day. And to your point, I should not have made it to happen within a year because that's going to require a lot. Plus, they're on tour now. And so maybe I did get them back together. I don't know. They're just not on the show, which is what I said.
You might have just put that out into the universe and got the whole thing started. So you could probably put that on your resume.
I should. I'm going to take credit for that, darn it.
But it is good to dream big. I'm not against dreaming big. You got to dream big. For example, I was dreaming big when I said, I want to sleep 8 hours, 8 hours. What?
Right.
Because I'll have to tell you, I'm the mom of it. My son has autism, so probably 25 years on autopilot, sleep deprivation. And he lives about 1.5 miles down the road. He has helpers 24/7 and a roommate. He's a lower functioning guy, but hey, I still get to play Candyland, riveting game of Hungry Hippos, and read Stella Luna.
That's awesome, though.
Give a mouse a cookie, and then we have to bake cookies.
That's so great.
And I still pretend I'm a shark at the Lifetime pool. Now, needless to say, my son is 6'1", and he's 28 years old, but he's just a very large preschooler. Didn't sleep much. So that was a huge adjustment to have him move down the street, and my goal was to sleep 7 or 8 hours. And that took about 6 months. You can't just say, I'm going to sleep 2 extra hours.
Yeah.
Took some planning. And then I went in for my exam during COVID for my checkup in October. And my doctor is very thorough. She says, how much are you sleeping? I said, about 7.5 hours. She's like, Jennifer. And I'm like, no, really? I did my Garmin average 7, and it said like 7:12. She went, what? She said, you have just changed the trajectory of your life because your weight is more stable when you sleep at night. Your mental health is stable. And when you're burning the candle at both ends, you're fine and healthy now. But when you're like in your 70s, you're cutting your time back a little bit when you don't get enough sleep. Wow. And so she was very impressed. And now I have to say, what made me smile today is kind of funny because
I was going to ask you. Yes.
I've been home for like 2 years. And you would think your smoke detector would go off during the day. But no, Aaron, it still goes off at 1
middle of the night.
So my smile today is there's no beeping. I had to get it wasn't a battery issue, so we got the whole unit replaced. So I'm thinking I can't go back to 5 hours of sleep. Sleep is underrated. It's a good thing.
It's highly underrated. It really is. Well, I was going to ask you, so I'm glad you said what made you smile today, because I was going to ask you, but I didn't know if that was okay to ask you. So there you go. So as you were talking, I was thinking, I think it seems like, is it fair to say what you do for others is they come in with their box of stuff, whatever it might be, good, bad, or otherwise, and they kind of dump it on the table, and you help them compartmentalize. And please tell me this may be completely bad analogy, but you help them compartmentalize, or at least maybe put first things first in, the box is their life and all their stuff of, this is the things that are bothering me. These are the things I'm struggling with. These are the things that are weighing on me. These are my stressors. These are my good days. As you said, what's made you smile today? Those kind of things. Is it true so do you help people kind of just put things back in the box neatly? Is that even fair to say?
You can come to me and you can say, relationships, you want deeper relationships, you want a closer relationship with God, you want to lose 20 pounds, you want to change your day job, and you want to move to Texas. Okay, we're not going to work on all those things.
Right, not today.
And a lot of times people come to me with one specific goal, and there's a lot of layers, like an onion, and it ends up being not really anything that they had come with, but that little goal transpires and crosses over into other areas of your life. For example, I had a financial person that was working like 80 hours a week, and she wanted to spend more time with her kids and volunteer and exercise. And I said, well, let's just start at one manageable thing. Now, what's your biggest area that you want to focus on? And it changes, and it can ebb and flow, and there's going to be, speed bumps and things like that. But where do you want to start? And we'll make some progress. And usually, whether it's exercise, whether I had a guy in the Army that lived in Colorado, and he called himself Mr. 85%. And I can talk about this because it's on my website if you read my testimonials. And he said, I have so many DIY projects. My whole house is a wreck. Why can't I finish anything? And I said, well, you have to, we just talked about it and itemized, what's your why? And when do you want this done, and what needs to be done before and after? And you just kind of talk it out that kind of way. And then the layers kind of peel back, and it really wasn't about the DIY projects.
Right. So, and I was going to say that. So some people may come in with X, but they leave with an understanding of why. No pun intended. The why. Let's address the why first, and then we'll get to the X, because or the X will take care of itself, because we have to address a deeper root issue. Whether, again, addictions or things like that. A lot of times addictions are driven by something completely not related to the addiction itself. It's something earlier in your life, or there's a stressor, something
then a comma, then another comma before you get to the
Right. And so is it fair to say that that's what you help people just kind of unpack a little bit? Again, you said not a therapist, but at least getting to that, and maybe they have to go to a therapist to deal with the root of that.
Yeah, there's people that
also deal with that,
and therapists at the same time. Okay. Absolutely, because I do not have enough letters after my name to be a therapist. I've certainly seen a counselor when I went through, a divorce. Right. That was kind of hard. And also when I went through this 9-month intensive, we dug very deep into trauma, intersectionality, relationships, positive psychology, and you really had to take a moment and think inside that I had healing that I had to do as well. I grew up in an alcoholic family. In many ways, I'm kind of grateful for that, because there was that sense of association. Parents drinking, sometimes it goes bad, sometimes, but it was like always the drinking, and then we had normal things go on. But typically, there was a bad situation, it was usually involved drinking, and there wasn't accountability, there wasn't apology. So that was hard to grow up with. But I learned incredibly good adaptive skills, which helped me umpteen years later when my son with autism came along. Nothing could shock me or surprise me. I could handle any crisis, calmness, and humor. So in some ways that prepared me for that. But when I've talked to other people that have had childhood abuse, maybe with mental health issues, for kids, that is so much harder to understand when your parents act a certain way and it's more of a mental health issue, because you just don't understand it. And that's really hard. That's really hard to heal from. There's people that have tragedies in their life, and they have a family member that's committed suicide, and there's guilt, there's shame, there's all these layers. And I know what I did is a lot of times I just shoved that so far down, but it's not going anywhere. It's still down there. So I had to kind of think about that and how I felt about that, and, find my way, very introspective. And what happened, Aaron, is I just realized how resilient I am, and I'm becoming the best version of Jennifer that I can be. Of course, I think you said this on your podcast. I do listen to your show.
One of the two people.
Today I have to get up and I put all the work in, but tomorrow is not up to me. Tomorrow, God's plan, whatever's going to happen, that's tomorrow. I just have to put the work in today and be the best version of myself.
Right. We control the inputs. God controls the outcome. And
you know what? The best version of myself today was a little cranky and sleepy with the smoke detector. And, tomorrow the best version of me is right where you're at, It's not always 110%. Sometimes the best version of you're at 75%, but you're just doing the best with what you have.
Right. And it's such I don't mean this any disrespect at all. It's a very cliche thing right now for people to say, oh, I'm living my best life, or I'm the best version of myself, or, people say that, but I think you just unpacked a little bit of what it means to actually be that, to be the best version of yourself. But in order to do that, you can't just wake up and be the best version of yourself. I think there's probably some homework you have to do to be prepared for the day to smoke.
And life's hard.
Yeah.
You still have hard stuff to get through.
Right.
And, my goal, I just really feel like I want to make the world a kinder place. We have a lot of lanes in the road right now, Aaron, to navigate. And
so many.
are waiting to be offended.
Right.
And just, to jump on you. But people aren't, people need to go out of the way to be nice. Honestly, kindness is free. And that can be paying it forward for the coffee behind you at Starbucks. But you know what? Kindness can be, you notice somebody looks nice. Well, just tell them.
Right.
But also kindness is keeping your mouth closed when you want to say something that you don't really have to say. That's also kindness.
And that's hard.
I think just those little things like that, I think become ripples. And if we can all just be a little nicer and then, spread the wealth, the world might be a little bit easier to navigate because there's just a lot of craziness going on. So you really have to find the happier things and the good things in a situation with so much going on.
I think it's gotten easier to be mean, especially in the social media world, because we can hide behind a keyboard.
Well, that also works on yourself, too. I think it's much easier to say self-deprecating remarks and like, oh, that's a nice shirt. Oh, it was on sale. Instead of thank you. Because nobody wants to say, oh, thank you, it's a nice shirt. And sometimes caregivers, too, are much easier to be mean and hard on yourself than it is to be kind. So I think in making the world a kinder place, it starts right here. You have to be kinder to yourself.
So what's the journey for someone listening today that would be interested in working with you? What's the path? What's the journey to work with you?
Well, there's a lot of different things that I have going on. The Hilliard Chamber of Commerce, along with Dublin and Westerville, had an expo in October, and they rescheduled it for February 23rd, I think, a Wednesday, at Scene 75 over at Tuttle.
Nice. Okay.
And I'm going to have a table. Come and say hi. You can give me a hug. I'll have my mask on, and just come and say hello and visit. And then coincidentally, my dear friend Jordan has a LLC Diverse Network, and he had an expo which was supposed to be next week, and he rescheduled it and called me. It's Thursday after the Hilliard one, and I went, oh wow,
Right.
That's like 5 to 8 down at Cover My Meds. I will have a table there too, so it's going to be. I thought, why not? It'll be an exciting couple of days.
Right.
So that you can come and say hello, but also I'll give you my website and you can call me. I have a free 15-minute just question answer kind of thing.
Okay.
No problem. But I also have a something on there called a discovery call, and I will talk for you for a full hour. Where are you? What do you want to work on? And you can see, Jennifer, you're really not my cup of tea. Or, some of that's personality or just filling things out, and maybe you'll come back in 6 months. But that's absolutely free. You can just call me and chat. You can look on my website at the testimonials, which make me so humble.
So
I
good.
feel like, oh my gosh, people, I didn't really want to put those up for the longest time, but you can read those. Those are real people.
Right. They're in that box. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can send me an email. I'll give you my email, and I usually will try to answer in about 24 hours. Get back to you. So, yeah.
Okay. So 2 opportunities to see you in person.
Typically, I'll meet with people. Yeah, for the most part right now, Zoom is just fine. And I'll meet with you for like an hour once a week. And sometimes I'll have a Wednesday check-in. Aaron, you may say, I'd like to work on this week. Don't bother me. Or I'll say, how can I support you? And you say, could you give me a little Wednesday check-in, make sure I'm still on track? That type of thing. Or someone that might need motivation or inspiration, I might send you, little funny memes or something along those lines.
That's awesome.
And I'm more than happy to take a phone call during the week when you hit a wall. Like I said, I've met people at Panera. One woman that I worked with was working on her confidence, and for 2 months we only talked on the phone. Wow. And then she was to the point where she started talking on Zoom. So it's a very vulnerable place, and it's a very safe space, and I'm just going to listen to you. Obviously, the only exceptions would be if you're at risk of hurting yourself or hurting someone else.
Right.
Or you're doing something illegal. That's not going to go. I'm going to have to resort that.
Which is understandable.
Yeah.
Well, so I love that. So I think, and this is why I'm so glad to have you on at the time we're having you on. It's the start of a new year, and a lot of people are making those decisions. And if you are, I'm all for it. I'm here for it. I believe Jennifer would say the same. We're here for it. statistically, those don't go well for a lot of people. But at the end of the day, it's the start of a new year. Tomorrow is the start of a new day. So
tomorrow's a new day.
Choose whenever. It doesn't matter.
Every morning you get up, you can either do better, do it differently, or just do it over. It's a new day.
Yeah.
And when I wake up in the morning, I don't think about my to-do list. This is a very good thing that I kind of like to do. And before my feet hit the floor, I think of what I'm grateful for. Before I get out of bed, I don't go to the bathroom, any of those things. I think of 3 things I'm grateful for. And it's not world peace. We had snow the other day, and I said, oh, I'm so grateful I have a garage.
Right.
So I said my 3 grateful things, and you start in the moment. You're not thinking to do. Put your phone away an hour before you go to bed, because your brain needs to sleep too. And I don't check my phone in the morning until I get up and I meditate. I read a little scripture and have my quiet time, which was such a strange transition, because for years I would roll out of bed straight to the gym and just do that. And now I do my gratitude, and I roll out of bed and I'll meditate, have my quiet time, and I'm just so calm as a cucumber. And then I go to the gym, but it's starting your day much more intentional than starting it out in a race.
Yeah. So you've already given us several great applicable things, just free of charge. Just if somebody's listening to the podcast, that was the only charge, was to listen to the podcast, and there's no charge for that. But I love that. I love the question you asked me. I really do. Let me just smile today. So if you're listening to this, write that down, put it on a Post-it note, put it in your iPhone notes, put it in your mind, whatever it is. Ask someone that today. What a great question to ask someone.
Well, the other thing that I like to do is people have their, put your phone down and your head up. And when I walk out of the gym, I say good morning to everybody, and they're like, huh? But what do people do when you say good morning? They look up and they usually smile back and say good morning. Or you could just walk and ignore everybody at the grocery store or at the gym. But you know what? If you say good morning to somebody, they're probably going to look up and smile. And I usually try to ask people, how was your day? I know one time at the Giant Eagle, this young fella, it was like a Tuesday, how was your weekend? And it was, this or that. And he said, I had the crappiest weekend. And he was telling me about it. I'm like, oh, it's Tuesday and nobody's even asked you, how was your weekend?
Yeah.
Just ask people. The smallest questions are kindness.
Right. And be prepared for the answer. I had that thought today. I was walking across the parking lot. I was headed out somewhere and I saw someone I don't even know. And I just said, hey, good morning. And she said, good morning. And I'm like, how are you? And her face was startled, like she wasn't expecting a return question. Right, stranger danger. And then it was the cliche, great, how was yours? And I'm like, you know what? And I said, oh, I'm great. And I was actually on my way to a therapy session. So the reality is, it's like, we ask each other that, and most of the time none of us stick around for the answer. In a good way, a therapy session, not a bad way. But, the point was, it's not like this is a stranger. I'm not going to say, hey, I'm on my way to a therapy session, but I'm great. How are you? I think, but we do that. But I think, if it be intentional, as you said, I think the word's intentional. Whether it's someone at the grocery store or
my daughter always teases me. She said, oh, God help you if you have a name tag. I would be like, Erin, so what, did you have a nice dinner? What did you do yesterday? Did you go outside? I try to ask a little bit more, caring kind of questions. So, I do talk to strangers and make friends in the elevator. Yes, I do. But that's just the nature of my personality. And I think somebody told me once, when any times of crisis, when bad things happen, look for the helpers. I think it was Mr. Rogers. I'm like, well, that's me.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Sometimes I'll help you when you don't want to help. But
well, I will tell you, as we've had this conversation, I'm so thankful for your time. Number one, I'm thankful for how you pour into my bride. You all are in the same small group, and she comes home so energized. She just loves that group, and for that, I love the group, because you all pour into her, and I'm thankful for that. But we started off the conversation talking about superheroes, and you are a superhero by the stories that you've told. How your son making it through divorce in the middle of a pandemic.
He's a handful. Yeah, I will say he's a handful, and people usually ask me, is he like Rain Man?
Yeah.
No, that was just a movie. He's like a big 3-year-old. And if you remember 3-year-olds, when you're trying to get on the phone with your insurance, they're into mischief, temper tantrums. He doesn't get his way. He'll try to, swat you. But like I said, he's 180, 6'1". But he will just stop by. He swims over here every day, and he'll stop by. And sometimes he runs upstairs and cleans out my refrigerator. And sometimes he comes in just to give me a kiss on the cheek, and he just holds my face. And I'm telling you, Aaron, he looks at me like I'm a unicorn, and it's like the whole universe is okay, no matter what's happened. I'm like, when you get married, you just feel madly in love, and when you have kids, you there's more. But when you have a child with some adversity, it's like, I love him so much, Aaron. Sometimes it just hurts. I love him so much. I'd walk on water for that, or a fire. I'd walk on fire for that little guy. But I'm the lucky one, because I would have never, ever imagined I could do the hard things I've done and walk the walk that I've walked. These wrinkles are not free. They earned all of them. And I'm the blessed one, because I never knew that I could fight the battles that I had to fight. So I'm very grateful to be his mom. And I also have a pretty amazing daughter, too, that's in North Carolina. And she's making the world a better place. Growing up, my friends used to call her Megan Mandela. We saved everybody from everything. She's a beautiful soul. So I'm very proud of her, too.
Well, there's no doubt that they have a great mentor in you and a superhero, superhero mom. You are a superhero. Again, raising, everything we've talked about, starting this in the middle of a pandemic, looking to help others when a time when most of us were focused on ourselves, and probably bad things for ourselves, because we were stuck with ourselves for the time we were home, which started a lot of bad habits for a lot of people, myself included. You're a superhero. I'm so thankful for your friendship to myself, your encouragement to me, your friendship to my wife, and hopefully to this audience, the encouragement you've been today. You've given us some great applicable things. Your website, again, is Jennifer.
Coach Jennifer.
Coach
Jennifer, all the one word. Coach, JENNIFER, the number 4U. So CoachJennifer4U.net. And my email, because you don't want to mess with my last name, it's too complicated, my email is info@CoachJennifer4U.net. So we can put that in the transcripts.
Yes, I will put that in there, and I will share it.
Your wife is a lovely gift too, and I told her I was in charge of the pasta that we had the other day that we made.
So good.
And it's very loud at your house when we.
It was so good, honestly. So just for the audience, they made homemade pasta and sauce and meatballs.
I was in charge of the sauce.
It was so good, and honestly. We used leftovers and we put them in a stromboli, which was also amazing. So, yes, it was. So thank you but most of all, thank you for pouring into her and feeding her spiritually and connectedly. I don't even know if that's a word, but it is now. Connectedly is a word. But thank you for.
Well, that was one of my goals
thank you for
the
loving
pandemic
her
too, enriching my spiritual side, and I just got put exactly where I need to be with a small group of 12.
That's right. Yeah.
And completely different, but we're more alike than we are different at the same time.
Yeah.
Beautiful group of women. So. Okay.
Website, Coach Jennifer the number 4, you.net. Coach Jennifer for you.net. And email is info@CoachJennifer, the number 4u.net. Did I get those right?
Yes, and awesome. You can come
and
see
you're on
me
all the socials too, right?
Either of those expos, I'll give you a Kindness Matters bracelet or a magnet.
Awesome. And that was Scene 75. What was the date of that again?
Yeah, the Hilliard, Dublin, and Westerville Expo is going to be at Scene 75, and that's going to be Wednesday, the 23rd of February. I'll have a table. And, I took my son's twister because there's only 4 colors, and I made it. You spin it, and I have one. You can get a back scratcher, and the one you can get a candle, hand wipes, and the other one's a toothbrush. So really extravagant gifts at my table.
I love
and
it.
Then the Diverse Network is having an expo at Cover My Meds downtown, and that is the day after that on the 24th, Thursday, like 5 to 8. So I'll be there in person. Come say hello. Or like I said, you can sign up on my website to have a 15-minute conversation or an hour. Or if you run into any snafus, just email me and I'll call you and we'll set up something on the phone if you don't want to mess with the signing up on the website. It's no problem.
And I encourage anyone listening to this to please take a minute, just pause, think about the things that the applicable things that you've already given us to do. Be thankful in the morning before you get up, but just a lot of what you talked about. But take a minute and think about, where you're at. I've had addiction specialists on. This year we're going to have a lot of people on that really, honestly, I hope to be of a service to people, and this is just another opportunity to do that. Where are you in life? Because I think we're at a critical time, as you said. People are very unhappy. People are frustrated. People are mad. People are addicted, whatever it might be. There's no shame in being your best self, and sometimes you need someone else to just come alongside and listen and help you unpack and help you become your best self. And there's no shame in it. That little
factor of accountability sometimes helps too. But when you think about it, you have to take your job, your family, your habits, your wants and dreams, and put those all in like a container. And if you think about all of Jennifer in a container, where's the cracks? Where are the cracks at? Because the stronger you make your foundation, the stronger you're going to be on all fronts. But we all have cracks somewhere. Sometimes we don't want to deal with them and we put them over here. But if you just take a moment and think, I probably should work on that a little bit.
Yeah. There's no greater time than now. And I'm so thank you. Thank you so much for being on. Thank you for being willing to come on. Thank you for speaking to this audience. And I'm just thankful for you for so many reasons.
Thank you. I was a little bit nervous, but you're not too scary after all, right?
I try not to be. I really do try not to be.
I have a face you for doing radio, what you're doing, because your podcast is just on a trajectory of all goodness and going you. At rocket speed.
I only know one way, unfortunately. So good, bad, or otherwise. But thank you so much. I look forward to getting this out as soon as possible and hopefully help some people. So go see Jennifer at either one of those opportunities. Visit her on her website. Send her an email, and let's get 2022 rolling with a lot of positivity.
Yep. Tomorrow's another day to get started. It is.
That's right.
And thank you so much for having me on. I very much appreciate your time.
Absolutely. All right. We will talk to you soon. I'll probably see you next Tuesday night.
I'll probably see you soon.
Bye. Right, God bless.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. That's right. Call.